One of the most common questions we're asking ourselves today is how can me, myself, and I have a lesser impact on the environment? Do I consume less? Change my diet? What aspects of my life must I be scrutinizing? Now, since climate change is a function of consumption, meaning the rate at which the planet is warming itself is based on how much stuff we buy, from the food we eat, to the clothes we wear, to the cars we drive, we must deepen our understanding of what it means to consume and the impact that it has if we're going to answer these questions and individually live within sustainable parameters. But at Blu-nits, we realize that two hurdles come up when asking these questions. First, we need to calculate how much carbon was pumped into the atmosphere as a result of creating product X. But second, by adding up all the carbon that it took to create product X, well, we realize that number doesn't really help us. I mean, technically, yes. I could calculate all the carbon that was emitted along the way. I mean, there's carbon calculators that can do that. But would that give me any further insight as to how much the environment was impacted? Not really. So in that line of thinking, I thought, okay, is there another way to think about it? Another way to represent the data? Something more relatable, something easier to grasp? Simply because I don't have a degree in environmental science, nor can I afford to go out there and get one. So if I'm going to get closer to understanding this complex web of a mess that is climate change and the impact that I'm having on the issue, well, I'm going to have to find another way to think about it. Let's say you just had a meal of grilled chicken, carrots, and broccoli, and all that cost 40 pounds of carbon to go from the farm to your plate. Well, what does 40 pounds of carbon look like? I mean, is that an unsustainable amount of greenhouse gas for one meal? How much of that carbon is getting absorbed through natural processes, and how much of it is left over to linger in the atmosphere? I mean, maybe given the vastness of the atmosphere, as well as the number of trees there are out there to absorb that carbon, perhaps that number is truly insignificant and therefore negligible. I mean, I certainly don't have a clue. Now, the word Blu-nit is a combination of two words, blue for the planet and unit. And much like one doesn't need a degree in nutrition to understand the basic function of a calorie, the Blu-nit offers an at-a-glance reference to how much a product impacted the environment in relation to the greenhouse gases it took to create that product. Okay, so the formula. We add up all the carbon and the carbon equivalents of all the other greenhouse gases that are produced, and then divide that number by the amount of carbon that one adult tree can absorb in a day. What this number now tells us is the number of days that it would take one adult tree to absorb the carbon that was produced to make this product. As the saying goes, we can't add apples to oranges. We can only add like units of measurement. Same thing with greenhouse gases. Now, in addition to being a physical substance, greenhouse gases also represent a unit of measurement, specifically the amount of heat or energy it can store from the sun. Now, all greenhouse gases trap heat from the sun in different amounts. Therefore, if we were to find out how much total heat could be potentially trapped from the sun as a result of the greenhouse gases emitted from making a product, we must convert all greenhouse gases to a like unit of measurement, ergo, their carbon equivalents. Carbon equivalents represent the amount of carbon it would take to trap the same amount of heat as that other greenhouse gas. This is done by using the gas's global warming potential. A cow produces a lot of methane over the course of its life, through essentially burping and farting. However, we can't simply add the methane a cow produces to the carbon that's produced by transporting that cow, because those two gases can potentially trap different amounts of the sun's heat in the atmosphere. Okay, so to calculate the Blu-nits of food, we can break down the greenhouse gases produced into 4 parts: agricultural, transportation, processing, and handling. So my first job when I moved to New York City was serving at a steakhouse on the Upper East Side. And if there's one thing that New York City steakhouses have in common, it's the quality of the ingredients they use in their dishes. Best the world has to offer. If they don't offer the best, well, the restaurant won't last long. So one day I'm standing online in the kitchen. That's the area where the trays are loaded up with the finished dish, so chef can do a final inspection before the plates head out to the dining room. And as I'm watching this tray load up, I'm thinking to myself, Okay, the kale and the salad is from Pennsylvania, the almonds on top are from California, the filet mignon is from Nebraska, the New York strip is from Idaho, the butter to top all steaks off is from France, the lemons to garnish the fish are from Florida, the mushrooms on the side are from Long Island, the rigatoni for the mac and cheese is from Italy, and on and on and on. And not to mention, the bottle of wine on the table is from Spain. And I knew all this because during our pre-shift meetings, Chef would always mention where the ingredients came from. And as I'm watching this tray head out, I'm just reflecting on the monster effort that had to have been put forth to make this one meal happen, right? At least in terms of the number of industries that had to intersect all at the same time to pull this off. And at $100 a person, the world had just been brought to its knees, which prompted the thought, is there a way to figure out just how much this one meal impacted the environment? It is our belief that if society is to ever reach sustainability, we must deepen our understanding of the impacts of consumption. Now look, it's not practical for all of us to go out there and get degrees in environmental science, all right? But with the right information at our fingertips, in simplified, meaningful metrics, that will enable us as a community to go out there and make informed purchasing decisions, and prolonged sustainability can be achieved. This is a math problem. Let's solve it. So please, come follow us on social media, and we encourage you to engage with us, ask questions, and tag individuals and entities where you'd like to see our ideas spread.